Hi, everyone. My name is Walter Hoye, and I'm here with my wife, Lori. And together, Lori and I represent the leadership for the Issues for Life Foundation.
The Issues for Life Foundation works with Black American leaders nationwide to strengthen their stand against abortion on demand. The last time we talked about the extent to which series, 4 things that God gave to Walter while he was in jail. Let me recap. Number 1, the extent to which you love the world is the extent to which you have been compromised by the world. Number 2, the extent to which you are willing to sacrifice your life for Christ's sake is the extent to which you will serve Christ. Number 3, the extent to which you fight for the sanctity of life is the extent to which you will have life. And number 4, the extent to which you have the ability to take action is the extent to which you have a moral responsibility to do so. Now today we are going to talk about one of the premier programs of the Issues for Life Foundation. It's a modern day version of the Underground Railroad. Take a look at this video.
Hi, this is Walter Hoye with the Issues for Life Foundation. Years before the Civil War, escaped slaves would reach the free slaves here in Montgomery County in the state of Maryland, and the free slaves would help them go further and deeper into freedom. Today, the Issues for Life Foundation has a modern day version of the Underground Railroad that reaches out to Black leaders that want to address the abortion debate, and we set them free. If you want to contribute and help us put together the modern day version of the Underground Railroad, go to issuesforlife.org, and there you can make your donation. God bless you, and thank you.
I'm so excited about our program, our modern day version of the Underground Railroad. Let me give you a little background. This initially started because Lori and I were traveling from state to state. And as we travel from state to state, we meet with Black pastors. And yes, the Black pastors agreed that abortion was wrong. The Black pastors agreed that the Bible doesn't support abortion. The Black pastors agreed that abortion takes the life of an innocent human being. The Black pastors agreed that the child inside the womb was a person, that person should be protected by both love and by law. They got it. They understood that. We were on the same page, but they just didn't know how to implement this in their church. That was where the struggle was. And that was what really gave birth to our modern day version of the Underground Railroad. And let me tell you, there was one more aspect to it that was vitally important. And actually, this was the last straw. This was when we decided we were actually going to do our modern day version of the Underground Railroad. Years ago, Lori and I were at a conference. The conference was great. The speakers were great. The venue was great. But at the end of the conference, the brothers are all sitting at my table. They got their bags packed. They're all ready to go. They're on their way to the airport, and they're going back home not doing anything about the pro-life message, the pro-life movement. Well, they just didn't understand how they could implement all this great information they heard into a program that would fit into their church. And so they're sitting there with me at the table, and we're talking about how we can implement it in their church. You know, how they could do it this way or do it that way, how they can actually put a program together in their local church. And there was one pastor who was sitting to the right of my wife. My wife was sitting to my right, he was sitting to her right, and he wanted to get into the conversation I was having with the pastors on my left, but he couldn't. And so he decided that he would talk to my wife instead. And he literally asked her, how would she preach this message, this pro-life message from the pulpit? And my wife, within 10 minutes, helped him understand that he was post-abortive himself. In other words, there was an abortion in his life, and he needed help. And within those 10 minutes, once he understood that he needed the help, and she actually pointed him to where he could get the help, he then also began to understand exactly how he could implement this program in his church. And he went on to do just that. Oh my goodness. After that, we decided, you know what? We've got to implement, we've got to put this program together, our modern day version of the Underground Railroad. And that's exactly what we did. The Lord blessed us. He allowed us to put this together, and in fact, it has become the #1 strategy for moving black pastors from A to B. In our underground program, we have that intimate conversation. We get right down to it because we understand the four specific reasons why black leadership rejects the pro-life movement. We take that information and we implement that, we include that, we use that in our modern day version of the Underground Railroad, and oh my goodness, God blessed it tremendously, blessed it tremendously. Let me just give you a little bit about it. Normally, when you come to a conference, you've got to pay for your way to the conference. You got your airfare, your train fare, your car fare. You got to pay your way there. When you come to our conference, we take care of all that for you. We are going to have this intimate conversation, and we're not going to let finances stand in the way. So the first thing we make available to them is a way for them to actually get to the conference. And because we're going to have that intimate conversation, we also we won't burden them with their hotel expense in any way whatsoever. We take care of their way there. We take care of the way while they're there. We take care of all the food, all the lodging, all the transportation. We get them from where they are to our secret location. And it's literally on us. I'm telling you, literally, when they walk in, Lori and I are handing them their hotel room keys. We don't even want to see their credit card. And by approaching it that way, we've already got their heart. And again, that's critical because we need to have that intimate conversation. The conversation that I'm talking about is a conversation you can't have in this church. He's a pastor, he's in his church, but you can't have that intimate conversation in his church. He's a pastor. He's known throughout the city. He's a well-known pastor in a well-known church. You can't have that intimate conversation in the restaurant. Who knows? The person serving the meal may be a member of his church. We can't have that intimate conversation in the church. No, no, no. You've got to be in a position, you've got to be in a place, you've got to be in a situation where you can have that intimate conversation. And so when they come to our Underground Railroad, our modern day version of the Underground Railroad, when they become a part of our program, pastor has to bring his wife. He can't come alone, he's got to bring his wife. And we're now in a location, in a space, and in a place, and in a way that we can have that intimate conversation. We've already got to her. He and his wife are now on a retreat, so to speak. We're not bothering them on Sunday. We're not bothering them on Monday. Our Underground Railroad works from Tuesday to Friday, and for 4 days, we pour into their lives at no expense to them. And let me tell you, when they first walk in on that Tuesday and we hand them their hotel room keys, we've really already won them over. There's been no conference like that whatsoever. And then we sit down and guess what? No more chicken dinners. None of that. We're having prime rib. Oh, we're not sparing any expense. And so we're all having a good time. They're sitting down with Lori and I. They're sitting down with the speakers. And the first thing we do is while they're eating dinner, we put on Maafa 21. That's the DVD that's produced by Mark Crutcher and Life Dynamics, the #1 resource in the Black pro-life movement. And oh my goodness, while they're eating, it's just playing. And sure, they're eating, they're talking, but after a while, that movie, Maafa 21, starts to sink in. And all of a sudden, the conversation slows down. And eventually, everyone is just staring and listening to that DVD play on the big screen. And oh my goodness. Maafa 21 answers the question, how did abortion get started in the first place? I mean, what question was abortion the answer to? In other words, what problem did abortion solve? Marfa 21 answers that question. If you don't know the answers to those questions, you really don't know how to fight abortion. You don't know why it exists in the first place. You don't know how it's the answer to what question. You don't know what problem abortion is actually solving. You really don't know the best way to fight abortion, to bring abortion to the end with a Marfa 21 DVD. Thank you, Mark Crutcher. This is for you. This is the #1 resource, and it is such a blessing to the Black pro-life movement. Whether we're watching Marfa 21, and oh my goodness, after dinner, after the DVD, we've got them thinking about it. We've already got their heart. And that's just opening up on Tuesday. On Wednesday morning, we take them from the hotel to the secret location. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, they've never been here. It's the secret location. And then from that in, we have our medical team sit in, and our medical team takes over the first day.
Wow. And that is truly powerful because our medical team consists of 2 former Black abortionists and the premier Black OBGYN in the country. And the former Black abortionists share literally, graphically, what they used to do when they used to perform abortions. They're responsible for the loss of thousands of lives. But when they came to know Jesus Christ, they could no longer kill his image. They could no longer tear his image to pieces. And they share that testimony with the pastors in the conference. The premier OBGYN in the country also shares a piece of the abortion issue that we don't readily discuss, the abortion breast cancer connection. Abortion and breast cancer are basically a one-to-one connection. And she shares how she does not have enough tissue in her office when she has to tell a woman not only that she has breast cancer, but that the abortion that she had was the only child that she would ever have. And the pastors are able to interact with these professionals. They're African American, just like they are. They have experience with abortion directly. And they get a chance to do what they normally can't do. You can ask the speaker, how could you do this? How could you take lives knowing that they're the image of God? Well, when they were taking lives, they didn't know God. They didn't know it was the image of God. And so they actually shared that with the pastors. And one of the pastors who asked that question actually confessed that there was an abortion in his life, something that he had never confessed before to anyone, including his wife. And so the Lord was opening up their hearts. The Lord was freeing them because they were in a safe environment. They were in an environment that's a small group. We limit it to 7 couples, and the speakers are also husband and wife teams. So they were in an environment where they were safe, where they could literally share their heart, and the Lord broke his heart and freed him by allowing him to share that secret that he had been hiding for so long, and it allowed him to be healed in the process. It's amazing.
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And that's just what we do on Wednesday morning and then Wednesday afternoon. We then go back to the hotel and then we continue. We have a great dinner. While we're having a great dinner, I also share with them exactly how they could implement this in their church. And so let me introduce Dr. Ashley Harrell. She put together a program in her church in Chicago, Illinois, where she had over 200 young Black women commit themselves to abstinence. They were going to wait until God sent them a husband. Oh, that was an incredible program. And unfortunately, it's a program that many had never even heard of. But Dr. Ashley Harrell had put this program together, and over 200 young Black women had pledged their lives to the biblical model. No, they weren't all virgins. Some were, some weren't. But all of them had this in common from now on. They were going to wait. They were going to remain abstinent until God brought them a husband. It was an incredible program, and it allowed the pastor to sit down with the speakers over dinner and talk about how they could implement such a program in their church. Many of them had never even heard of a program. Many of them never even thought about a program like that. But actually having the program creator, right there. She could answer all of their questions. We could all come together and start talking about how we could implement a program inside the church. And so the Lord was blessing us right there. But let me tell you about Wednesday. Wednesday, we opened up with Dr. Alveda King and Dr. LaVon Ewell from Michigan. And oh my goodness, while we took care of the race card. But on Thursday, we dealt with the civil rights of the unborn child. In other words, we dealt with the civil rights issue surrounding the abortion debate. Oh my goodness. On Thursday, we had Dr. Alveda King, niece of Dr. Martin Luther King, come in and share a very personal testimony, a personal testimony that involved her mother, Naomi King, and how in the beginning, Naomi, Alveda's mother, was considering abortion, and how Dr. Daddy King came in and said, oh no, we don't do this. We don't do abortion in the King family. And it's because Daddy King stepped in and said, oh no, we don't do this. Alveda King is here. Oh my goodness. And from that testimony, Alveda went even a little deeper. She started talking about the abortions in her life. And oh my goodness, the price that she paid and how she came to the decision that she could no longer do that. It was an incredible time. And it didn't even stop there. We started talking about the Margaret Sanger Award that Planned Parenthood awarded Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And oh my goodness, Alveda made it very clear that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was never even there. He never even showed up for that award. And no, he didn't even write the speech. He didn't write the speech at all. As a matter of fact, his wife Coretta was there, and she read the speech that was written for her by Planned Parenthood. We got to talking about Margaret Sanger and that Margaret Sanger Award, and all of a sudden the light began to come on. We began to see abortion in a different light. We began to see abortion in a light of an unborn child created in the image of God that deserves to be protected by love and by law, a person, if you will, like the person mentioned in the 14th Amendment of our Constitution. We begin to look at abortion completely differently. And when you begin to look at through that civil rights lens, and you got Dr. Alveda King, a member of the King family right there, and we've got video of Alveda and her mother, Naomi, talking about considering aborting her. Oh my goodness, and why they didn't. How Daddy King stepped in and said, no, we don't do that in the King family. We don't do that. Oh my goodness, you begin to see the hearts and minds of the pastors and their wives, the audience change, and we're not even done yet. And then we've got Dr. LaVon Ewell, oh my goodness, pastor in the state of Michigan. My goodness, Dr. LaVon Ewell has dedicated his life to communicating the pro-life message to the NAACP. And would you believe the NAACP refused to hear it? Refused to have anything to do with it. They even went as far as putting black paper on the window so the folk that were actually in the conference couldn't even see out the window, couldn't see Dr. Alveda King, couldn't see Dr. LaVon Ewell, couldn't see all the black folk that were out there on the public sidewalk standing up for the right of the unborn child to be born. Oh my goodness. And when he began to talk about why the NAACP refused to deal with the abortion debate, again, you can see the light coming on. You can see, oh my goodness, you know, what we thought we knew, we really didn't know. What we thought we understood, we really didn't understand. We were hearing not only from Dr. Alveda King, but Dr. LaVon Ewell, one of the three patriarchs of the Black pro-life movement. So the information that was coming in a way that we could really understand, that we could really embrace. Again, we were having that intimate conversation.
Yes, we were. And then in the afternoon, the conversation got really deep. We started talking about abortion recovery. We had Brian and Denise Walker from Rich in Mercy, Everlasting Life Ministries, and they came in and they shared their personal testimony about the impact that abortion had had on their lives, the impact that it had on Denise and how she related to Brian, the impact on Brian and how he related to her, the impact on their marriage as a whole and the struggles that they went through because there was an abortion in their lives and they hadn't dealt with it. They hadn't gotten healed. They hadn't gotten whole. It impacted their children. It impacted almost everything that they did. And until they went to the Lord and got the healing that they required to deal with the grief, the loss, the regret, the shame, the guilt that is all associated with abortion, it wasn't working out in their marriage. And while they were sharing their testimony, one of the women in the group, one of the pastor's wives, literally curled up on the floor in a fetal position because there was an abortion in her life and she had never spoken about it. She had never dealt with it. She had never let anyone know that that was an issue in her life. And then Brian and Denise went to her, prayed for her, laid hands on her, and you could see the Lord begin the healing process right then and there in the group, in the meeting for this pastor's wife as she laid on the floor, curled in the fetal position. The Lord gave us the ability to see that the hurt is right there in your midst and you don't know it. Pastors don't know what's going on with their wives. Wives don't know what's going on with their husbands. The enemy has used shame to keep you trapped in this sin of abortion, and we wanted to make sure that you could get free. And Brian and Denise Walker started that woman and the rest of these pastors on that path to freedom.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I'm still stunned hearing it. Even though I know what she's saying, I was there. I saw how God used Brian and Denise Walker, the Everlasting Life Ministries, their Rich in Mercy program. How He used this couple, this black couple, to actually heal this pastor's wife that had curled up in a fetal position on the floor. But I got to tell you, it didn't stop there. That night, Thursday night, we're back at the hotel and we're having dinner. And oh my goodness, while Brian and Denise Walker, Everlasting Light Ministries, and their Rich and Mercy program, they came all the way from Minnesota, but there was one other abortion recovery program that's located in the state of California. It's run by Mark and Tigra Little. It's called No Longer Bound. Well, Mark, big-time lawyer, he really didn't have the time. His schedule didn't allow him. He wanted to be, but his schedule just didn't allow him the opportunity to come. So literally, Mark and Tigra put together a video designed to work with us, designed specifically for us. And we showed them their video, oh my goodness, while they were eating dinner that night. And again, it was just amazing to see how the pastors and wives understanding how abortion recovery could work in their church and beyond their church, how abortion recovery could work in their lives. It was just simply amazing to see how God was pulling it all together. And the pastors were coming up with ways they could implement it, ways they could present it, ways they could organize it. They knew who they could talk to. They knew what materials they needed. All of this was there for them. And as they began to talk about it, you began to see the Lord working. They were coming up with ideas on how they could take this back and implement this in this church. Oh, but let me tell you, it didn't end on Wednesday. It didn't end on Thursday. On Friday was our last day, and oh my goodness. Friday, we had reserved the time to actually take a tour of our secret location. The pastors had been there Tuesday, had been there Wednesday, had been there Thursday. They had never actually taken the tour. We're in a secret location, and we would simply literally come from the hotel, come to the secret location, and jump right into our facility right there. They had never taken the time to actually tour the surroundings. And oh my goodness, the surrounding spoke deeply into the heart of the lives of Black Americans in the past. And let me tell you, when we get to the end, We take them to the gravesite. The gravesite wasn't always available, and it's not so much available now. It's slowly but surely going away. And while it was hidden for so long, Laura and I, we found out where it was, and we literally took our pastors and wives to the gravesite that marked the lives of those that had suffered. And the grave sites, they marked the death of those that were born in the 1800s. The grave markers went as far back as the 1800s, and when the black pastors and wives saw that, oh, we captured their heart. They were determined to go back and do everything they could to preach and to teach and to present the pro-life message in their congregation.
Oh, yeah. In Galatians 5:1, it says, "We have freedom now because Christ made us free. So stand strong in that freedom. Don't go back into slavery again." Our modern Underground Railroad frees pastors from the slavery that they have been in, the bondage they have been in to the abortion issue. We bring them programs, we bring them resources, we connect them with people and places that will allow them to severely hinder the abortion industry's hold on their congregation, on their people, on their city. We have been able to do this once, and we want to do it again because more pastors need to be set free.
Won't you help us? Won't you help us set the pastors free? We need your help right now. If you'd like to help us implement the Underground Railroad, please go to the Issues for Life Foundation's website. That's www.issuesforlife.org. You're probably seeing it on your screen right now. Just click on the donation button at the top, and you'll have an opportunity to give and help us put together this modern-day version of the Underground Railroad. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Order your copy of this program from the GLC bookstore by calling the numbers or visiting the website on your screen. Please include the program number when ordering.